Hi, I'm Sarah Rodriguez with On the Radar. An Ohio strip club owner surprised churchgoers yesterday with a protest that involved, shall we say, nothing above the belt. Employees of the Foxhole North Club staged the topless protest during services outside the New Beginnings Ministry in Warsaw to oppose church demonstrations at the club over the past 9 years. They come up every weekend, and they're very abusive and certainly unchristian-like, said Foxhole owner Thomas George, who accused church members of hurling expletives at his dancers. They're abusive to the customers. They sit out with video cameras, they take pictures of license plates, tell them they're posting them on the web. New Beginnings pastor Bill Dunphy, however, said he has no plan to back down. I hope George will realize that the Foxhole has no business in this community, he said. I take very seriously the responsibility as a pastor to see it too that the gospel of Christ is lifted up, that Christ himself is lifted up, and that evil is confronted. As for yesterday's protests, there were 6 topless women among the 30 dancers and other supporters. It's legal to be topless in Ohio, by the way. Churchgoers and protesters argued when services ended, and a few churchgoers picketed with signs of their own. But there was no violence. Afterward, both George and Dunphy said they plan to continue their protests. When you're on the lam from police, it might be best to avoid entering donut eating contests sponsored by the aforementioned police. Because you just might win, get written up in a local paper, and then not be on the lam anymore. Such is the strange fate of Bradley Hardison of Elizabeth City, North Carolina. The 24-year-old had been sought by police for months in 2 felony burglaries, but had managed to elude arrest. Then he entered the donut contest during the Night Out anti-crime event this week, downed 8 donuts in 2 minutes, and was crowned champ. Police officers and firefighters were among those he beat. I did congratulate him, a deputy with the Camden County Sheriff's Office tells Fox 8 after the arrest. Good for him. He can eat a lot of donuts. Good for him. After seeing the write-up of Hardison's triumph in the local paper the following day, deputies knew he was in town and quickly picked him up at his mother's house. He's being held on a $2,000 bail. A container ship crew yesterday rescued 3 men who was stranded in a sailboat off the Hawaiian Islands for about 24 hours as their vessel was battered by Hurricane Julio's 30-foot waves and 115 miles per hour winds. The sailors from the 42-foot walkabout made it onto the Maston container ship yesterday morning and were in good condition, according to the U.S. Coast Guard. Crew members from the Matson, who had made it to the sailboat the night before but had to wait till dawn to make the rescue, positioned the massive container ship so it wouldn't knock over the walkabout, then tied a rope around a life raft and sent it to the sailboat, a petty officer for the Coast Guard says. The sailors got in the raft and the container ship, reeled them in, essentially. The sailors then climbed a 30-foot ladder up into the ship. The Coast Guard said it received the men's message for help Sunday morning after the walkabout became disabled during its trip from California to Hawaii and started taking on water about 400 miles northeast of Oahu. The storm was so fierce it ripped off one of the sailboat's hatches, broke its mast, and tossed its lifeboat overboard. The Coast Guard, which said it was too far away to send a helicopter, coordinated the rescue with Matson, which was on its way from California to Honolulu to deliver goods. Those are pretty much some of the worst conditions you could be in, another Coast Guard petty officer says. The fact that they were rescued and were no injured reports is amazing. And that's what's on the radar with Sarah Rodriguez.